Warning, this program contains strong language and content that might require actual thought and critical thinking. Viewer discretion is advised. It's that time. Time to kick off your shoes, time to get grounded and reclaim your magic, and time to fly. We are the Barefoot Bangarang Tribe, and this is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring the Bangarang man himself, the Reverend Rob Lee. Hey everybody, what's happening? It is the Reverend Rob Lee, the Bangarang man, Bangarang, welcoming you to Tarot with an Attitude. What a great edition we have today. I met this, number one, she's beautiful. Number two, she's smart. Number three, she actually created her own tarot deck. Well, this is an oracle deck, and her name is Michelle Karen. She has been around. She's astrology. She's going to help me learn astrology, whatnot, but I can't wait to get her on. And I got her deck, and guess what? We're going to do an opening. You'll be able to see. Still got the band on the deck. So without further ado, let's get this party started and let me get Michelle Karen in here. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great. I love your introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't do anything normal, you know?
I love it.
It's not at all what people would expect from a tarot show. You know?
Well, it's tarot with an attitude. It can't be what everybody expects, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So it has to be very unique.
Absolutely. Michelle, you're very unique, you know, and let me tell people, I met you with Kathy Silva, the shaman lady, and we're doing a show, we're fixing to pilot it, called, Decoding Our Lives. And you and I were able to meet there, and that's when I found out you had this awesome oracle deck. Couldn't wait to get my hands on. Had it for a couple of weeks till we could put this interview together, and I'm like itching. Even my wife's like, I want to see it, and I'm like, no. Like a kid at Christmas, you know, we're surrounded by tarot decks. So, one of those. So tell us, number one, what I want people to understand before we just tear into the deck. Okay. Give us a little bit about yourself. Not have to go into detail. We don't have to know husbands, all that kind of stuff. We just tell us about you and what said, you know what? How did you get there? Because I know you've been in Hollywood. You've been all over the world. You were actually an astrologer to the stars, right?
Yes, I was at the 76th Academy Awards. It was actually a funny story. I was invited. They were doing every year, and I did not know that the Academy Awards have a specific theme, and that year it was a theme it was psychic theme. So they wanted a mystic, and it so happened that they contacted me, and that's it. I thought it was a fluke, actually. I didn't think this was real. They call me and they say, welcome, and we want to hire you for the Academy Awards. I'm like, what? What the hell is that? I was living in LA, but still, and you hear all sorts of weird things in LA. And a week later, I ended up calling back, and they said, well, we've been waiting for you. Come over, like right now. And I show up, and it was like this amazing office with marble everywhere. And they hired me on the spot to do the astrology to the stars. So they had a whole week prior, and they were, and I was doing readings. So I met wonderful people there. I got interviewed by all the televisions of the world. It was so much fun.
Oh, I'll bet.
And that's a short version. That's a short version of what actually happened there.
Hey, that works. And you know what I'm so happy for is that you're actually kind of combining people like me. I could talk about tarot all day long. Okay. I know the cards, I know where they're going and all that kind of stuff. I cannot, I guess it's my old brain or whatnot. I have a problem remembering all the different personality traits, the moons and everything else. And I've got like 3 or 4. I was born in Aquarian, have 3 or 4 moons in Aquarius. I was born February 3rd, the day after the age of Aquarius started. So, and I couldn't tell you what a lot of that stuff means. My wife has to remind me. Okay. So something like this and what you're doing and your site and people, I want to get started right up front, down below, scrolling across the screen, www.michellekaren.com. Check her out there. Here's her Instagram. Check that out. Make sure you're seeing her. And she's got a Facebook page. All right. Because you're going to want to get this deck and you need to go to that michellekaren.com to get there. So I want to make sure people know I'm not just here to talk to you, but I want people to see and meet you like I did. So that is awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And you're
You're
awesome.
welcome.
I love your style. You're just like, a true Aquarian, humanitarian, fun, and original, eccentric, and walking to the sound of your own drummer.
Absolutely. And you know what? For me, that was a journey being able to do that because I had to break free. Raised up the son of a Baptist preacher. You and I've got some very similar background in that. And I know
Me
Kathy does
too.
too.
My grandfather was a Lutheran priest. And tomorrow's my birthday, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. We have a tradition on the show. Happy birthday to you. When I find out it's somebody's birthday, happy birthday, Michelle. Happy birthday to you. Got to do it. Part of the show. Bangarang. Make your life happen.
It's gonna
You
be a
know,
great year.
absolutely. What's your number for the year? So that's tomorrow is 1, 18, 19, and
I'm
6,
a
25. So
7.
it's a
And
7.
numerologically, I'm a 7. It's a 7 year for me. So it's a mystical year, actually. And it's about compassion and unconditional love.
Good
So
deal.
I am looking forward to this year.
Good, good, good. Me too. Me too. I think I am a my number was an 11 for the year. I'm February
Oh,
3rd. So yeah,
oh.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Hey, let's cut to the chase though. Let's get out of here. I love the name of the deck to begin with, and I'm going to show the book first. This is the book that comes with it. Okay, we're going to add this bad boy right in here, and I'm going to swoop us around a little bit so people can get a better idea and a better look at the book and the cards as we talk about them. So, and again, the box is beautiful. It is. We're doing an unboxing, so I guess I ought to show them the box. Attuning to the quantum. Okay, a fusion of celestial and elemental energies. That's amazing. Now you had a partner on this. What was your partner's name that was helped you with
Yeah,
this?
Daniel Trenjak, he's from Slovenia, and we actually never met in person, believe it or not. Everything was done through Zoom. And he knew of me because of my conferences as an astrologer, and he had the reading with me, and his wife had a reading with me too. And at the end of the reading, he's telling me, he's doing those amazing stone paintings. So he has an incredible connection with river stones. So he will walk in the river and the stones will speak to him and say, me, take me. And he will take those rocks and he will go home and then he will leave them there. And they decide, the rocks, he explained the whole system to me, it's pretty amazing. The rocks will tell him, I want to be painted today. And then the mandala that comes through is also directed by the rock itself. And he does exquisite paintings. It takes him 3 days to do one rock. And he was showing me those rocks and those photos he had taken, and I was absolutely blown away. And I've had a lot of people ask for collaborations with me, and I always, say no. But when he asked me, he said, I have an idea of doing a tarot deck, an oracle deck, and I'm not good with writing, but you have the astrology, you're very good with writing. Would you want to collaborate with me? I said yes immediately because what the work he does is stunning. And if you have ever tried to paint rocks, because after meeting him, I tried to do it myself. It is a nightmare. It is so damn difficult. And he meditates, and it's so exquisite, so detailed, and he literally receives cosmic codes. So it was a very natural association that we would be able to use the elemental, the rock, the energy of the rock, and add to that the astrological part. So
That's
he
awesome.
so he did not direct me. He said, "Look, I trust you. I know you're going to do something beautiful, and let me know how you can, how we can, put it together. And it was actually not as easy as I thought because I've written books and I thought, oh, card deck, so easy. You just write a little bit, it's just easy. It's going to be done in a week. Well, let me tell you what, this was the most difficult writing I ever did in my entire life. And I've written 9 books, and this was more difficult than writing a book because it had to be very focused. And first of all, he had a ton of pictures of all those rocks he had painted, and he submitted them to me, and they were all so beautiful, and I had to match them also, and to feel what is the energy, the cosmic, the astrological energy of this rock, what is the astrological energy of that rock. And some would fall into 2 categories or 3 categories, and I had to really check. And then I didn't want to do the normal way where you have the planet in the sign. That's what every astrology book gives you, the planet in the sign. And I thought, what if we did the planet in the element? And that nobody does that. So that was very unique in itself, but it also fit with the fact that he has rocks, and the rocks are found in a riverbed. So there's the energy of water, there's the energy of nature, there's the energy of earth. So it felt like a natural fit to put all the planets in the elements. And then so it was the sun in earth, the sun in air, the sun in water, the sun in fire, and then the same for each planet. And we ended up having 44 cards, which was normally what a tarot deck is about. And then I wanted because I was looking at what other people did and what kind of interpretation they put, and it felt to me that a lot of those decks, not the traditional tarot decks, because the traditional tarot decks are very meaningful and very deep and very profound and very transformative, but it felt like the sort of decks that are coming out now, I mean, some are really wonderful, but some it feels like it's a bunch of words put together, and they're not necessarily super deep in terms of the consciousness. So I felt that if we started to put the planets in the elements and do a real astrological interpretation, like I would do when I'm doing the reading, the astrological reading of someone, then we would have actually a very aligned cosmically interpretation. It would not be a bunch of words I'm coming up with. It's really based in millenniums of observation of what happens when this planet is in this sign, and the characteristics and the positive elements and the challenges. So as I was writing it and working on it, which actually it was my confinement baby, um,
Okay.
so the confinement had a really good side to it, because all of a sudden I was stuck at home. I could not travel, and I was traveling so much, and I had been traveling nonstop for the past 12 years. I was only 3 days home, 4 days on the road every single week of the year. So all of a sudden I had all this time on my hands, and that's where I started working on this. So it was perfect timing in every possible way. And what I wanted to do with this is that I didn't want just an oracle, you ask a question, you get an answer. I wanted it to be a tool for transformation. And I love the I Ching, the oracle, the Chinese oracle. And I wanted this to be a means to work on oneself. So yes, it will answer questions. And I'm still shocked myself at how accurate it is. Even though I wrote the text, I can't believe how accurate it is. Every time I have a question, I go to the deck. I'm like, oh my God, who wrote this? Me?
Well,
It's
let's
so
let people see some of this deck, okay? And find out. Number one, I love the name, Attuning to the Quantum. Explain that name to me.
Well, actually, that was Danielle's idea. He's the one who came up with that name. And I was a little reluctant, to be honest. So I'm loving that you love that name because I thought, well, it's a little esoterico, mystical, and I'm kind of the girl who likes practical enlightenment. I'm not, I think spirituality should be something that helps us live our lives in a better way. And it shouldn't be this airy, fluffy, whatever that nobody can verify that's out there that doesn't help us in our daily life. So to me, it was a bit of a fluffy name, but he was adamant this should be the name. And we tested it on our friends, and all our friends loved it. So I said, okay, well, let's go with that. That was the only text he was allowed to write because the rest I was writing. And I said, look, leave me with the astrology. And so he got his title. And actually, it is a very catchy title, which I didn't think it would be, but it ends up being it. So I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
No, I do. It's different. I like it. Most people, and I'm not going to get into whole physics lessons here or whatnot, but a lot of people don't even understand what the word quantum means. They've heard it. But this is talking to me about being in the intricate, it being in the small, understanding what's going on. And people don't, when they think quantum physics, they think, oh, because it's huge. But that's not really what quantum physics is about. It deals with the quantum is in the minute, in that nth degree, that drilling down. And I'm a root cause analysis person, so quantum stuff just goes right with me. The book is beautiful.
Thank you. Well, just to go back to quantum, to me, quantum means multidimensional. And because we were dealing with cosmic, we were dealing with the earth, we were dealing with codes, we were dealing with mandalas, we were dealing with oracle, we were dealing with transformation. That's what quantum meant to us. It was this multidimensional understanding of our lives and how to navigate our lives with grace and elegance, especially now that everything is going a little nuts everywhere. We need to have a nice, positive guidance.
I agree. And just thumbing through the book here so people can see what's going on. We have, how to use this deck. You give a nice little short thing about the best way to use it. The cards, you explain them. And then using it as an oracle deck. There's just so much information here, but not feeling like you're getting into a bio. Many of my tarot decks, man, I'm in the process of putting out a course in Tarot Simplified because people want to read tarot, but some of the books are so overwhelming. And then when they grab a different deck and that book doesn't match the other book, it takes a newbie person a long time and too many people are wanting to get started. So I appreciate short and insights into what we're looking at here. The back of the decks are beautiful. I'm gonna take the thing off now and show people. There's what the back of the deck looks like. The artwork is just absolutely
Oh,
stunning.
that is Danielle's doing, and he said to me, so that was the only say I had on the design. So he
Okay.
had the say on the title, and I had the say on the design. And I said to him, he said, "Well, what would you like on the design?" And I said, "Well, I think we should have some kind of cosmic something, the sky with the stars." Which he created, and I wanted the Neptune sign, and because the planet Neptune has to do with the transpersonal, with the mystical, with everything that is of the divine or the divine nature that is esoteric, and he came up with that design based on the planet Neptune, the symbol of the planet Neptune.
And how does that help? All right. Don't know anything. How does this relate to Neptune? Are we talking about the main symbol here in the middle?
Yes, exactly. Like that's what I'm wearing here, the Neptune sign. So it is like a trident, pretty much, and that's the symbol, the astrological symbol for Neptune. And he made it in such a way that it's represented 4 times,
That's
and then he
beautiful.
put the symbols of the elements, and then he put the symbols of the planets on the border, the down border and the upper border. And I thought that was brilliant. When I saw this, I was like, it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
absolutely perfect.
It's
So,
gorgeous. It's
and
gorgeous.
he did an amazing job. I mean, each card is just stunning. And the thing is that when you look at each card, there is the several elements. So there is the sacred geometry that he put on the rock, that he painted on the rock. Then there is the astrological correspondence, so it's the planet in an element, and we
Let's
have
do one right here. And that way you can explain it.
yes,
Here's the card right off the top of the deck. Love and nature. So I noticed the borders are different. And is that for
yes,
the borders are different for each element?
yes, absolutely. So we did. So he did green for earth. He did red, orange for fire, blue for water, and gray for air. So these
Okay.
are kind of the traditional colors, so that you can easily see when you look at the cards which one is of which element. And then, of course, center stage is these beautiful, stunning rock paintings that Daniel created, and he really and just looking at them, and that's a way to use them. Just looking at them, you're going to get energy. And even without going into your mind and reading the booklet, you're going to get something just from this beautiful rock. And then there is the astrological correspondence. So he wanted me to write, the sun in air or the sun in water. And I said, the symbols, astrological symbols, are very potent, extremely powerful, and they're not random. There is a reason why we have, Jupiter looks like a four and Saturn looks like a five. Neptune looks like a trident. The sun is just a circle with a dot in the middle. These and I could go into an understanding of all of that. The cross has to do with the material. The half circle has to do with the soul. The full circle has to do with the spirit. So depending on how each of those symbols are drawn, they have a specific meaning, and they already are giving a specific information. Just even if we don't know astrology, just looking at the symbol, we're going to get some information.
And you know
And
what
then,
I love about that too for somebody again, I once I see it I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember it," but my memory is so it just being old, been hit in the head too many times, literally, and it's one of those things. So what we have here, it's nice in the contents. You actually break each one down in a very short, so the guide is there. It's a good way to start learning these symbols. So
absolutely.
what I'm looking at here then is the sun, correct,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Uh,
earth.
yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay,
So which one do you
and then
have?
this beautiful mandala he's painted.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. The work he does is absolutely stunning. I don't know anybody who can paint the way he does. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, the intricacy there. I don't spend 3 days. It's very, very seldom is it something I'm spending 3 days on. You tell me 3 days, I got to take everything else. But to paint one stone, I'd love to see his work. Is his work out there anywhere for
Yes,
other?
he does have. If you go to my website, there is also, on the Oracle deck, there is a link to his website, and he does. I think it's GaiaIt.com. Let me check here. It's GaiaIt.com, and he even can paint your own mandala. He paints, rocks for people individually, and
Wow.
depending on what they want to develop and all that. I mean, that's all he does. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the amount of precision and each rock, and there were a lot more than the ones I picked for the deck, because he had over 100 and I had to just get
Wow.
down to 44. But I mean, there
Was that
was
exhausting? I mean,
it,
trying to
it
go
took
through those and get a feeling for it. I know sometimes when I'm done with the show,
it
I'm
took
like,
a whole
I need a
week.
nap.
It seriously took a whole week for me to do that, because and then there were those, it was obvious. It was like, that's sun in air, that's Neptune in water. That was very clear. But there was some, it was like, it could go here, it could go there. And I really had to meditate. And then the cards also were, I mean, the drawings, the paintings were telling me where they wanted to go. But some, it was borderline. They could have gone here, they could have gone there. And there were a few that I changed a few times. There was some that was absolutely, there was no question. That's it. That's the one.
Okay.
So yeah, it took a whole week just to do that. I tell you, this whole process, I thought, oh, piece of cake, 1 week it will be done. It took a whole year to get it done. It was, oh my God, it was so much. And I wanted the text also to be meaningful, that people can ponder upon it. They can keep a journal on their readings. They can start to think about it. It was not just like a quick fix answer. It was more than that. It was really going behind, really like the I Ching, where the oracle, the Chinese oracle, you draw it. It's a process to draw it, and then after you literally have to take notes of things because it's not going to give you a straight answer. It's going to give you a process. And I wanted this to be a chance to work on ourselves, that we're not just, getting a yes or no, or, but that we are going to be able to understand what led me to this. How can I change this thing? How can I develop a certain aspect of my life? For example, if somebody is is single, what, and these are the questions, what is the best attitude in order to create a relationship? What obstacles should I let go of in order to create the relationship I want? And then you can also just take all the Venus cards. Venus represents love. And then you could all take, look at all the Venus cards in water, in air, in earth, or in fire, and look at what am I already living and what could I develop a little more of,
Interesting.
to attract the right relationship. So there's so many ways you can use this deck. It's a very unique deck. It's unlike, hopefully, I trust it's really unlike anything you have ever seen, because it's a completely different concept of an oracle. And
No,
it's also, there's a lot of
I
wisdom.
love it because the other thing I like about this, in the show I use various oracle decks. Number one, I love the I Ching. I have a Tao De Jing oracle deck that I use, and when I'm working with people one on one, we actually find out it has the pictograms and all that stuff in it, and we'll actually flip coins for how it's changing with the flow. So I love that it's here. The other thing I like, and this is where people struggle. I think you're right. A lot of what I call novelty decks, okay, they're not in depth, and then they spend time explaining the card so much. Nobody gets in touch. The users, the new users, they don't get in touch with their intuition. What I like here is you give them just enough to say, now stop. And what is the gods telling you? What is the universe telling you in this card? These are absolutely beautiful. Just like they're healing.
And that's actually the first thing you should do is, like, when you draw, you, of course, you have a question, you draw a card, then just stay with the symbol, with the mandala. Don't go rush to the book, and
Right.
there is, of course, one word. The one you drew in the beginning was love of nature. Another one is insights, ripples of change. Another one is artistic creativity. So you'll just communication, contemplation. So you'll have like one word, but try to stay with just a drawing, because as Daniel worked, and as he explained it to me, he really channels codes. So those paintings, they're not like, oh, well, that's pretty, let me put this color. He literally is in meditation, and he's a highly spiritual, wonderful, beautiful being. And he really connects with cosmic energies and with the energy of the rock. The rock tells him, I want this, I want that, I want this design, I want this color. So it's a collaboration with the rock. And rocks have souls. We know that in shamanism. We know that rocks, they move very slowly, but they move, and they have a soul. So so that's why it was quantum, because we were dealing with so many different energies: cosmic, the stars, the planets, the rocks, the nature, Mother Nature, the water, the earth. All of this came together in an absolutely magical connection. And I feel that, even though I never met Danielle in person, but we met through Zoom, through Skype, I mean, our collaboration was just made in heaven, literally, because we were absolutely connecting to the same realm. And I'm so proud. I mean, I'm blowing my own horn here, but I'm so proud of,
No.
I think it's just stunning.
You should. Bottom line is, number one, I'm a social worker by trade. And one of the things I always tell people, nobody's going to advocate for you like you. Okay? So if we don't start blowing our own horn, why are other people going to do it? So no, I'm glad you do that. And it is one of those things, but you come across a topic that I'm finding very interesting in the fact that we got all these people grabbing crystals, okay, or whatnot, but they're a rock. They're not tuning in. Well, it puts off a vibrational frequency or whatnot. Well, yeah, everything does. Okay, we know this to be true, but I think you're bringing up a valid point, and I think other people need to hear it. That a lot of these crystals and these stones, okay? Now we're getting into some of the fire stones, I think, okay? With that beautiful orange, okay? But the crystals and the rocks are literally sentient beings. So if
Absolutely.
if we listen and we stop, we can pick up messages. And that got kind of deep for me the other day when I was talking about it. I'm like, well, let's take that because I got to keep drilling down. And then I'm like, well, are we right in ripping these crystals from the ground and selling them? A lot of people got crystals and they think, oh, it's clear quartz. It'll help me think. But it's way more to it than that.
Hmm. There
And
is.
I think this deck helps people understand that.
Hmm.
I mean, just the idea of coming up with, all right, how many painters, it'll take them years to come up with one unique painting.
Hmm.
And here I've got 44, all of them vastly different. All of them saying it's beautiful. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. Do me a favor, explain this card, okay? Positive, that's my gig, positive mental expression, okay?
Okay, so that's Mercury in what is it, in fire? Yes, Mercury
Mercury
in
and
fire.
fire,
Yeah, positive mental expression. Well, I did not memorize the book, obviously,
right?
um, but Mercury is the planet of communication, so everything has to do with communication. And fire, it's spontaneity. I mean, you see how fire
Passion,
is.
drive, yeah.
Warm, generous, full of light, full of enthusiasm. So Mercury and fire, and it really has to do so. It really has to do with this expansion that we want to think big, we want to speak big. And the way I divided also the text is that I put the positive and the things to watch out for. So you would focus on the positive attributes of Mercury and fire, but you would also look at the negatives to see the challenges. And it could be either challenges that you are traits in yourself that maybe we should be a little careful. And usually Mercury and fire people, they tend to leap before and speak before they think. So there's sometimes a tendency to be a little scattered, or to be a little bit over the top, or to promise a little more than they can deliver, those kinds of things. Whereas and that could also be what we're encountering in another person, that we are dealing with in that situation. So again,
Okay.
it's a tool to work on ourselves. It's not just getting an answer to our question, but understanding, because in the end, we are all the planets and all the signs and all the elements. We are all of that. We are made of earth and water and air and fire. And it's a combination of that. I love this one. That's a beautiful card.
Isn't that beautiful?
I mean, all the cards are so unique. It was so hard to take out only 44 out of them, because seriously, his work is just unbelievable. And
So
and
when, yeah, it is. Let me ask you this. So when working with your deck, okay, as the creator, was there a particular question, a way to formulate your question when
yes,
you work with the deck? Was that in mind? I wish,
yes.
a lot of creators don't put that in their book, and I wish they would, because formulating questions is the key to getting the right answers. Communication.
And
So,
I do that. Yes, and thank you for asking that. For example, one of the questions could be, what is the best attitude to have in such and such a situation? Or how should I respond to this situation or this person? Or what are my strongest character traits? What are my weaknesses? What does this situation teach me? What karma am I working out here? What is my life purpose? So questions that are really about, that are more introspective. And it's not like, for example, it's not a question like, it's not necessarily a yes or no answer. It's more an answer that's going to make you look at yourself.
right,
Because, we ask questions, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I date this person? Should I buy this house? Well, you know, well, it depends. It depends. What do you want to create in your life? Should I buy this house? Well, no. If you want to travel, you should get a trailer or this thing that travels. Or if you are going to be moving in 2 years, maybe, a smaller place. Or if you are going to have a family, well, maybe, yes, a bigger place with bigger rooms. I mean, everything is very dependent on what we are going to do with that.
and I find a
So,
lot of people will ask, especially people that aren't really sure, they're using it more for like a fortune telling thing. And they're, when
yeah.
will I find my true love? Well, when was the last time you walked out of the house? It could be that stupid, Well, how are you going to find true love if you're not meeting people? Go
I
to
love
where the
it.
people are,
And so
So,
I'm laughing because my friend keeps telling me that, and I'm mostly at home, and she's like, "How are you going to find the man if you just stay at home?"
that's it. You got to be where the people are. But at the same point, there's nothing wrong to say that and say, okay. But I get a lot of people with a lot of yes and no's. And I tell them right out of the gate, I can tell you yes today, and I'll use my pendulums or whatnot, is mostly where I go for my yes or no answers, not the cards. Um, but that's today, the way things sit today. I don't believe our fate is tied in stone. Haha, pardon the pun. The things we do, choices we make every day, it's like we have a wide path carved. Where we wind up on that path is up to us. So some of the decisions I make today are going to affect that 3 days from now, 4 months from now.
I
If
agree.
you wake up and you're in a bad mood and you walk out and you bite somebody's head off, that same person could have meant to be your life partner. And they're like, wow, what a bitch.
Oops,
See ya.
oops.
Yeah. We can affect that. So that's why it's important to look for this clarity all the time and every day. We
I
have to
love what you say.
reprioritize every day.
I love what you say, Rob, because I believe we have many different futures. We don't have just one future. And it depends on, our choices. We make choices all the time. And our choices are going to determine what happens next. And we need to be very aware of why do we make those choices and where does this choice come from. I see people, and in readings in astrology, I see people all the time. I have half an hour to solve a lifetime of questionable choices. And how am I going
Yeah,
to do that? This is very complicated. So I can help you make better choices, moving forward. But I can't reverse what happened in the past. If you had 5 children with 5 different men, how am I going to solve that? I can't.
right.
So, and maybe that was a very good thing for this person. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. We don't know that. Everybody has their path, and we have to learn. We have lessons from that. But the idea of this oracle was really that it would not just be an oracle, it would not just be another tarot deck, it would be really a tool for personal transformation and for really understanding where am I coming from, where am I going, what do I want to create in my life, and how best can I create it? That would be another great question for the oracle. What is the best creation I can do at this point in time or in my life in general?
I agree. And I think a lot of people are looking for so many. I want all the answers and I want them right now. And they don't want to have to work for them. And some of this is taking something about, I ask a question, it says logical reasoning. Well, that doesn't answer my question. Actually, it does. Today, slow the hell down. Okay. Keep your emotions out of your decisions today. Be thinking more using your logical brain. But we just want to know, no, leave them. Get rid of them, dump them. Our
Well,
society, especially in America, has become such a convenience store, fast food. It's the way we want to live our life. Give me the information I need so I can move on.
yeah, I know. And
And
coming from Europe, I love living in the US, by the way. I absolutely love. I became American in 2011. I love it. And I really believe in this country very strongly. But I agree that people have become very lazy. They want quick fixes. They want, sudden, everything is going to be solved. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be the man of my life. I'm going to do this, that. Well, there is a bit of a journey to get there. And that's a
right,
joy. That's the joy of life. If we're so focused on the destination, we forget the joy of traveling, and that's the beauty of life. Everything is a lesson. Everything is a chance to learn. Everything is a chance of discovery, and that's what. And this is really the deck that I feel can accompany us on our journey and can give us very loving positive guidance, but also show us the pitfalls and say, hey, be careful. There's also this, there's also that. Be
right.
aware, don't just follow, move ahead without thinking of looking left and right. And that's the thing. So you can also use this quantum deck in so many other ways. You can meditate on, take a card a day and meditate. So in 44 days, you will have meditated through the whole deck, just looking at the beautiful mandalas. Or you can take a card of something you want to develop in your life, an aspect. For example, for somebody who's very shy, who has a trouble speaking up. Well, I would take that card Mercury in fire and put it under your pillow for a month, and sleep with it under your pillow or next to your bed, so that the energy will subliminally start to give you the chance to speak up and not be afraid of speaking up. Or you can put it also in your purse, you can put it in your car, you can put it in your bathroom mirror every morning. I have, let's make it, I'm going to have, I just drew that. Enthusiastic inspiration. Well, put that in your bathroom mirror. And when you smile at yourself in the morning, as you should, every morning we should smile at ourselves, you remember enthusiastic inspiration. What does it mean to be enthusiastic? What does it mean to be inspired? How can I put enthusiasm in my inspiration? How can I put inspiration in my enthusiasm? And this is a card of fire. What is fire? The sun, and the fire, the bonfire for the St. John's Day, and the fire when it's cold in the winter and we just have a nice cup of coffee or tea, that makes us warm again, or we put some socks and we we are warm again. So then, just a simple card with just a simple, it's not a simple mandala, but a simple word, two words, a simple symbol, and this beautiful mandala, and you look at it every day, looking at your mirror, you're going to start walking differently. You're going to start talking differently. You're going to start relating to people differently. You're going to see yourself differently. And that's the idea of starting to work with all that. It's so many ways you can work with that deck.
I do these things called, and I push people, and it's hard, and it worked very well with addicts, things like that. It works very well with everybody. Set your clock 20 minutes early. I call it the 20-minute challenge. 20 minutes, not a half hour, just 20 minutes. But get up, don't turn on your phone, don't turn anything, go get a shower, get dressed, get ready for the day. But your next step is to sit there. So if you had this card, communication, and I just took that card and said, okay, Spirit, Divine Father, Divine Mother, Earth, I want communication is going to be very important. Why? And start listening and 20 minutes. Then when the clock goes off, you will change the way your day goes. You will change the way you think about communicating with your boss or that obnoxious asshole in the next cubicle, but it will change your life, and it will, and people need to see that. These are beautiful. Now we're getting into the water signs, the blue ones.
So this is
Contemplation.
all about emotion, water, our sensitivity, our psychic abilities, our ability to feel and to connect in feeling. And that's also very important. For example, let's say, a man who was raised, boys don't cry, blah, 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 which is ridiculous, really. I mean, everybody should cry if they need to. Well, maybe he will want to work more with the water cards. Or somebody who's already over emotional, maybe they want to work with the earth cards that are a little more grounded, a little more practical, a little more, connected to Mother Earth cards. So we can rebalance ourselves with that. And that's why I also advise people to play with these cards, but to use also a journal, have a journal, and start to take notes of things. What do I want to work on, and see what cards will help me to develop this. So I was talking about a person who's very shy. Well, maybe if they start to look at communication, and communication, how is communication in air, how is communication in earth, how is communication in fire, how is communication in water, and how can I create, put all this together so that I can communicate in a way that is going to be more connected to all the aspects. Because people tend to develop in one direction, and then those areas where we're a little weaker, we tend to be like, let's not do that. And we need to become rounded. We cannot become enlightened if we're not rounded. So, and rounded means that we take care of our body, we take care of our mind, we take care of our hearts, we take care of our spirit, and we don't eat, junk food and then meditate. You need to have mindfulness in everything that you do in your daily life. And I like that, you get up in the morning and you don't stay in your pajamas all day. You take a shower, you put your makeup on if you're a woman, you make your hair nice, you dress nice, and then you go about your day. And that's going to make you feel different. That's going to make you deal with life differently. And the scouts can assist whatever it is that, because we're not perfect, we didn't have a perfect upbringing, we didn't have, a perfect life. We made quote quote mistakes, which I don't think we ever make mistakes. We just learn lessons. And it's like, okay, well, next time I'll do better, or I won't fall in that trap. And or we do again, and then we say, okay, I got it. I made a mistake twice, so I learned that lesson twice. Now I should really integrate that lesson. And
And you know what? I got to say right there, let me, because this is very powerful. Okay. Mistakes. So
yeah,
many people are frozen
hmm
because they don't want to make a mistake. And the mistake is you're not moving. So
hmm
I try to tell people, my wife does a show with me on Saturdays called The Magical Unknown, and she's big about making people understand not moving is the same thing as it is an action. It is a choice. You've chosen to stay in fear or whatnot. And you know what? We move forward. If it didn't go, if you're, long as you're trying to move, you will get somewhere. You may go a little bit, kind of cattywampus or whatnot, but you're moving forward.
absolutely. And you're going to learn something, even if you did something and it failed, whatever. You learned something that is, like all those, failed relationships or relationships that ended. Well, we learned something in every one of them.
Yes.
And then you are so much wiser and better, and you know how to deal with situation for the next one. So until one time it's the right one, and there is no mistake. There really is, like, there's no stupid question. There is just a process of evolving, and life
Right.
is about evolution, period. This is what it's about.
It is. And for somewhere, a lot of people, we've gotten caught in, to make a mistake is
Terrible.
unacceptable.
Terrible.
And
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 it's
and I
not.
don't understand where that started.
I
Everything I
think
do
it's
has to be
more.
perfect. Is it the judgment? Is it the fear of being judged? Where do you think that started from?
I think it started from school and education, and our parents were disappointed, or we got an F instead of an A, and then our parents got upset at us.
Right.
And we feel we're a failure. We didn't do the right thing. We should have done better. Well, not necessarily. Maybe that's all we could do at that time. And maybe having an F, it was, it directed us into different studies, and we found a study that was right for us. So in the
Right.
end, everything is about, if we think that the universe is benevolent, the universe has our back, the universe wants the best for us, even if it looks in the moment a tragedy. We may look back many years later and say, oh my God, I was so protected, thank you. Like, for example, we have a relationship that ends, and it's like the end of the world, and I'm never going to love again because this wrong person left me. Because if they were right, they would never have left you to begin with. And then 10 years later, you meet this person, you're like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Right.
If I had been married to this person, my life would have gone in a whole different direction right now.
Right. And
So
I call that codependence, where we have literally gotten, we don't know how to be happy in here.
true.
We rely on even our kids or stuff. We got to be careful. They all walk around, got to be doing something. Nobody can just be.
E.
And you know what? Being happy within yourself, especially my spiritual brothers and sisters out there, you keep asking spirit to bring you somebody, okay? They can't, because they have to protect that person from you because you're not happy. So when you think about it, you've got to take the steps to make you happy. Spirit could say you're on the right path. Now I can let your paths merge, because this other person was actually ahead of you, and I had to slow them down a little bit because I wanted y'all to meet. But Spirit has an obligation not just to me, but to my wife. And if I'm
Absolutely.
if I'm making her miserable because I'm so codependent oh baby, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I talk all the time about people. And I've been there, I've been there. I say I love you, not because I'm saying I love you, because I want to hear it, you
Hmm.
know? And that's very important. And what you said is to understand, yeah, being happy with who you are, being strange.
The first marriage is to oneself because we are masculine and feminine. Remember the yin and the yang. We are male and female within a person, and we need to be married with ourselves first. After that, you can think of someone else. But if two, if and the true marriage, I mean, since we're talking about that, it's really between two people who are each a pillar of the temple, so they're each complete in their own right, and then life can flow and dance in between. And they're not codependent, they don't need each other. They are together because they love each other, because they enjoy being with each other, because they enrich each other, but not because they fill gaps that the other has. And that's
Right.
terrible.
Absolutely, it is. Michelle, I can't wait. Now I can use the deck because I did this. I wanted to experience it firsthand with you. Who gets that
Yeah.
opportunity? It does not suck to be the Reverend. I'm meeting beautiful women. I'm talking about their creations, and my wife's okay with it. That
Oh,
that so that
wonderful.
that that's good. All right. But again, I want to remind people: you have written how many books?
Well, in English and French, altogether nine books, and in
Okay.
Finnish. So I wrote in three languages. So I have nine books now. But my books in English, I have Aruna, which is a spiritual novel, and I have a Astrology for Enlightenment, which is an astrology book, but a wonderful book for beginners. Actually, it's a very beginning book, but it
Okay.
also will appeal to people who have done astrology many, many times, because I may not be Aquarius, but I have a very strong Uranus, which is a planet of Aquarius. So I tend to always do things a little differently than anybody else. So my astrology book is also very unique in that sense. I really went back to the observation of nature and to look, how to learn astrology not by memorizing tons of psychological stuff, but by observing nature and looking at how, because that's how logically we discovered, everything was discovered. It was like, oh, this planet is here and this is going on, or this aspect is happening and this is what's happening on the earth. And they put the two together. So I went back to the roots of Chaldean astrology, and I have associations for each sign, each planet, with elements, with colors, with flavors, with perfumes, with shapes, archetypes, and of course the psychological part also. So that's
Awesome, awesome. And all those books can be found on your website, www.michellekaren.com, right?
and I will send you a signed copy. I will sign it specially for you.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be. I need some help because I really want to get the astrology thing. It's not that I don't
Oh, then my
understand
book
it.
is the book. You know what?
Yeah.
When Simon and Schuster asked me to write this book, because I was not writing at all, and all of a sudden they connected with me and they said, "We want you to write this book," and I'm like, "I'm not writing, thank you." And they said, "Oh, we are Simon and Schuster." I'm like, "Oh, I might reconsider."
Talk about the message from above. Bap,
I know. Well, that's my whole life is like that. It's like I had to be hit on the head for this and that to happen, because I'm like the reluctant everything. So, and then when I was writing everything, eclipses and all that, and they said you have to explain what an eclipse is, and I said, well, everybody knows what an eclipse is. They said, no, we think it's a chewing gum. I'm like, what? So that's how basic the book had to be, but at the same time it's not basic, because I tend to work quantumly whatever I do, so it has many, many layers, and you can use it no matter what level you're at. You can use my astrology book.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, thank you.
That is awesome. And now
Under
people
myself.
met you, things like that. So we'll be seeing this on Facebook, everything else. I'm going to throw it to my Facebook. Again, folks, this is Michelle Karen. We highlighted her deck, Attuning to the Quantum. All right. Check it out. It is beautiful. You saw that it's pretty here. Wait till you see it in person. The energy just radiates from it or whatnot. I can't wait. I'm going to use it on the show. And, so I want people to see that. I would also like, while I got you kind of trapped, okay, I want to see if we could do another show sometime
I would
about numerology and astrology.
Oh, I
Okay.
would love that. That's a topic that I absolutely adore. I would love to talk about that. Thank you.
Okay. Beautiful. So you and I'll hook that up. We'll figure it out and we'll go from there. Any last thing you want to tell my viewers before we call this a
Well,
show?
as you were talking, this card just flew. That's why I was looking at it, picking it up on the floor, and I was asking in my mind, what does what do the viewers need right now? Everybody, and it was a card of healing. So Neptune in Earth, healing. And I think it's very important right now with everything that's happening that, maybe what is going on in the world is a reflection of our collective shadow. And if we can heal ourselves, we will heal the world.
Yeah. Stop
So,
worrying about other people because, things are, it's time to heal rather than keep fighting, and okay, somebody may not
and
agree with you.
be in compassion, because Neptune is the planet of compassion, sensitivity, tolerance, and connection to the divine. Let's stop giving so much power to the news and start giving power to the divine. And
Absolutely.
that's a lot better guidance than just following the news.
I appreciate that because the divine will work through love, patience, and understanding.
Absolutely.
The news does not.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So thank you very much
Until
for
we have
that.
good news. We need to have good news, a good news channel.
Yeah, we do. We do. And it's one of the reasons I started Tarot with an Attitude was to remind people,
Oh,
we don't get into all the political stuff and everything on the channel. I try not to. I do have a show called News Dudes and Tudes. It's on this same channel. You can find it in the playlist. It's me and a buddy of mine, and we just go off. But it's about off the wall news. It's about some of the news. But again, people need to understand while you're worried about all this crap that you've been programmed to worry about, life is going on and you're missing it.
I
You're
love
missing
that.
it.
And you are definitely productive. I can't believe how many radio shows you have. You're pretty amazing, Rob.
Working on it. Working on it.
I'm really impressed. I'm still trying to get my YouTube channel going. I mean,
Give me a holler. I'll be glad to help you. It's really not that
oh,
big of a deal. I'll be glad to help you.
100%. Yes, I do need a little push. I
Okay.
have I already have followers and I have no content. Can you believe that?
Okay. Well, I'm going to send you the link to this show so you can put it on, start it out on, hey, and send it out to your email list of,
Sounds
hey,
good.
got my first interview the other day or another interview. Come check this fat guy out. Let's see
No,
what's happening.
I have a little bit of content, but very little. So I need to get on this. This is my New Year resolution. Since my year starts tomorrow with my birthday, that's my New Year resolution.
There
YouTube
you
channel.
go. Good to go. Good to go. Hey, Michelle, also, I'll send you my number. That way, if you want to talk on the phone, I can help you through any of the YouTube stuff. Be glad to. And we can get you up and running super quick. Okay?
Thank you so much, Rob. I so appreciated this interview. It was so much fun as the previous one. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I appreciate you being here. So, with all that being said, I'll be right back in just a moment. Everybody, remember what's the key to the show? Number one, take what you want, leave what you don't. It's okay, but leave with some peace, love, and light. Bangarang!